Okay, let's go for 3 questions for the year 2026. At this stage, we're just forming the questions. We can be as creative as we want. Okay. I'm going for majors only. There. And there. First question, where can we find strength in 2026? Second question, what might surprise us in 2026? And third question, which rules should we bear in mind and think of obeying? So I see that as the reality principle, the reality check of 2026. Okay. Okay, let's go for 3 answers, and I have the International Icon Tarot here. Please give us 3 answers to those 3 questions for 2026. Reading for you in the darkest week of the year. On my lovely orange homemade background. Home. Okay, I'm going to reverse that reading because I use the yin-yang rule. And there are 3 answers. Okay, well, what I'm getting from these cards here, it feels quite a down-to-earth, quite a grounded spread. It feels like the year's going to offer opportunities for making things real, making dreams real, keeping our feet on the ground, but also on this side of the table, on the reality principle, the realness has got to happen in the concrete space. So it seems to be about, we've got 2 Pentacles cards here. We've got an Emperor who's very sort of grounded and earthy and very much reality principle. At least on these 2 outside question and answer axes, and in the middle we've got something a little bit different, but let's look at the outside ones. Where can we get strength? Well, I mean, that's a great place to look for strength. In this case, I would read King of Pentacles as support, and it could really be from a particular person, someone who can connect you with resources, someone who can connect us with resources, someone who is generous, someone who lives the earthly life, someone who attracts resources, who attracts worldly things and is comfortable with them. So this can be an employer, a sponsor, a supporter, an advocate. But it seems, because it's Pentacles, it does seem very practical, and it may be to do with money. So if you've been feeling, and I don't mean if you've been feeling poor necessarily, or if you've been feeling up a gum tree financially necessarily, but if you've been feeling disconnected from the source of material stability or income or whatever it is you need in the real world, I think that the presence of a person like that in your life in the coming year will make you feel much stronger. Okay. Now, on the other side of the table over here, we ask the question, what are the rules that we have to keep in mind? What is the reality principle that we have to keep in mind? And here we have home and family. And I see this card as the dynastic aspect of family, the fact that family has it sometimes has a financial or material aspect to it. In fact, when I say sometimes, 100 or 200 years ago, it always did. In the days before the welfare state, the family was really almost the only financial structure that one had in one's life. And your family was the alpha and omega of your security. Not so much these days. We're a little bit more atomized, aren't we? We're a little bit more independent. Nevertheless, there is a reality principle still at work in the world that we come from families, and at the risk of generalizing, I think it's quite difficult, if not impossible, to completely sever those ties, even though, some people do, some people have to, some people have no choice. But I'm feeling that the weight of the past and the weight of ancestry is a reality principle in 2026. I thought it was family, but that word ancestry just came into my mouth. And these are considerations that must be obeyed. This is how we frame the question. So I think the question of where you come from can't be denied in 2026. Okay, one way or another. Okay, so that's the earthy part of this reading, the grounded, muddy, rootsy part of the reading. In the middle, we ask the question: what kind of surprises might there be in 2026? And I think, frankly, if you're single and if you're looking, that's rather nice. That's rather a good sign to see that card there. We've got the Two of Cups answering the question. Agreement, friendship, love, romance, coming together, maybe even getting married. It's a card of pledging, a card of arriving at an agreement, which I think surely is you could say is the definition of a real relationship. If it was just a fling, maybe we could say that a fling is romance before you've come to an agreement, and a relationship is when the agreement has been to some extent reached. There really can be no relationship without some sort of agreement, spoken or unspoken. And that's what I'm seeing on that axis. If you're already in a relationship or married, it feels like it's still a good year for being surprised by friendship, real connection, really feeling happy and relaxed with people, having things to talk about, having things to celebrate, having a reason to meet up and have either a cup of tea, ladies and gentlemen, or a pint of beer, or a flute of champagne or asti spumante. I'm being facetious, but why not? Because that's a very joyful card to see. Let's consult the Canwell Oracle from Mr. Canwell over in the States. An oracle I recently got and like very much. 52, I think, cards in the style of the RWS, each one an object. There is a little guidebook attached, but let's just read it without the guidebook, if we can. please give us one oracle card for 2026. And it is the Birdcage. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, I have consulted Mr. Canwell's guidebook on this card, and he gives two really delightful meanings for it, sort of contrary interpretations of Birdcage. He says that on a romance level, the Birdcage could symbolize getting ready to move into a lovely situation with the person you love. So that's moving into the Birdcage. But then on the other side of the coin, there's moving out of the birdcage, and he says you can always get out of the cage. So there is freedom from anything that's holding you up. So it could be either an image of freedom or an image of the chosen limitations of relationship, which I think is rather a nice way to end our reading for 2026. I'm Robert Farah, this is Tea and Tara, and I'll be back next week with more of this stuff. Have a lovely year ahead. Bye.